Hey guys, welcome back. We have the new pack coming out tomorrow, and there is a guide that you will see right here for Melodious. The Melodious guide, definitely one of the most promising decks from the new pack here. What I will show you in this video is firstly the combo with only Ostinato. Then I will show you a normal summon combo with the Refrain, I think she's called. And then I will also show you in the end a deck list that you can take to the letter tomorrow or today, depending on when you see this, or maybe the day after, and play this new deck. So Ostinato is an old card, but our best one card combo starter here. It's basically branded fusion for Melodious. If we control no monsters, we can fusion summon one Melodious monster from our deck basically. So this is what we're going to do first here, activating this to go into one of the new ones, the Baka, the Melodious Maestra. And the other card I will show you in the second replay is the Refrain, so the basic one card combo with the Refrain, and then you should have understood how this deck wants to operate. So we are summoning the Baka, a new monster here that we will get two Melodious monsters while you control this fusion summon card. The activated effects of your Melodious fusion monsters cannot be negated. Very good. You can only use each once per turn. If this card is special summoned, which you just did, you can special summon one Melodious monster from your deck. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard, we can target one Melodious monster in our graveyard and special summon it. So this gives us two bodies back for basically being created for free. We are going to grab an old card, which is not once per turn, very important to keep this in mind, Shopina. We can target one Light Fairy monster in our graveyard, add it to the hand, and we are grabbing the Refrain, which will be the normal summon here, and also the normal summon that you can start with. You can also start with your first movement solo, which can grab you the Refrain. So Refrain is one of the best starters you can get. We are going to normal summon the Refrain. If this card is normal or special summoned, we can add one Melodious monster from deck to the hand. And then also if a Melodious monster is special summoned to our field, while this card is face up in our extra deck, we can place this card in our Pendulum Zone, which we were able to do with another card in a second here. Keep in mind that if Pendulum cards leave the field, they go on the extra deck. We're grabbing another new card, the Couplet, the Melodious Songstress. Couplet says that if we add this card to the hand, if this card is added to your hand, except by drawing it for your normal, also a bit like a Poplar, you can reveal this card, special summon one level 4 or lower Melodious monster from hand or graveyard. This is what we have just done here. We have special summoned the Soprana, which the Soprana was, together with the Refrain, the card that you use to make the Baka. We can now special summon the Soprano, which is another fusion card that gives us the ability to fusion summon. We now can scale the Couplet, and then if it is scaled, we can also add one Melodious spell trap from deck to hand. We are grabbing the Melodious Concerto, which Concerto is the other way to fusion summon. It would be Concerto, would be our Soprano, and then you have your Ostinato. You have three ways to fusion summon. Melodious Concerto can also fusion summon with stuff from your Pendulum Zone, so that is very interesting here. We are going to use Concerto, and we are going to use the three you just saw here. These are going to go on the extra deck, the Couplet and the Refrain, and back into the grave goes the Shopina. We want to keep the Soprano because we want to fusion summon again, and we are going into the new boss monster, the Flowering Itwal, the Melodious Magnificent. Quick effect, you can banish until the end phase any numbers of Melodious monsters you control. Then you can return up to that many face-up cards your opponent controls to the hand. You can only use this once per turn, and if this face-up fusion, a summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can special summon one Melodious monster from your extra deck, except this one. So this is one of our main interruptions here. This deck is very strong against everything Snake Eye. This will be very important once Snake Eye gets new support with the Fiendsmith engine, but this is one of our end board pieces here, and we have used the Concerto here, going to the graveyard now. Next thing we are going to do, I just read this on the Refrain, but the Couplet basically has the same effect. If they leave the field and are on the extra deck and there's a fusion summon happening, we can put them into the Pendulum Zones here, which obviously means we could also Pendulum summon. In this combo we can't because we don't have anything in hand. Now we can use Soprano's effect to fusion summon. We don't need the Baka anymore. We are going into our next interruption, the Schuberta, which is an older card, during either player's turn, which is basically saying quick effect. This is an old way of saying quick effect. You can target up to 3 cards in any graveyard for cost, banish them, and if you do, this card gains 200 attack. So this is a quick effect, banish 3 cards in the graveyard, which is a very strong interruption against a lot of decks. And now, because we have sent the Baka to the graveyard and the Melodious Concerto, we can now activate the Baka as well as the Concerto, because Concerto's second effect says if a Melodious fusion monster is sent to your graveyard while this card is in your graveyard, which we just did, we can place this card on the bottom of our deck and then draw one random card. Very nice here. So we're activating Baka to special summon a card from the graveyard, because we left the field, and then Concerto will draw us a card. You can chain block this in any way you want. This would be Ghost Bellable, the Baka effect, where the where the Concerto would basically be ashable, but I think your opponent has probably already used an Ash Blossom, so you can basically train this however you want, not that important. We are resummoning a Chopina because Chopina's effect to add back something from the grave is not once per turn. Note here this is a random draw, so could also be an Imperm, for example. We are using the second effect of Refrain, where we can target a fusion monster we control and then send one Melodious monster from deck to the graveyard. We are sending Sonata, the Melodious Diva, because now we can use Chopina's effect to grab back Sonata, and Sonata can be special summoned if we control a Melodious monster. While this card is on the field, all fairy type monsters we control gain 500 attack and defense. Very nice. Obviously, it's always nice. We are going into the Bloom, Harmonist of the Melodious Composer, a very good target for infinite impermanence. Then again, is also a good target to hit the Refrain or maybe the Baka, because Baka protects other fusion monsters from being targeted, but you can still target this with an Imperm. Yeah, we have the Bloom, Harmonist, the Melodious Composer, a very strong card. If this card is link summoned, you can discard one card, which we have in the hand because of the draw. Special summon 2 Melodious monsters with different levels from your deck to your zones. This card points to. Very effective here. We are going to do this to summon the Aria as well as the Elegy. Elegy says all special summon Melodious monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effect. And this one says, well, this special summon card is on the field, Melodious monsters you control cannot be targeted by card effects or destroyed by battle. So this is what we are basically ending up on here. We have the interruption from the Etoile, we have the interruption from the Schuberta, we have this for follow-up and link climbing on our next turn, and we have these protecting us from being targeted by anything, destroyed by anything, or basically interacted with in any way besides non-targeting banishment. So very strong, and there are just decks that can't beat this board because of the protection that these cards provide here. Now let me show you the one card combo with the Refrain, and afterwards we will go into the deck profile. Okay, for the next combo, I'm going to show you the Refrain combo. Note here that first movement solo, which reads if you control no monster, special summon one level 4 or lower Melodious monster from your hand or deck, is basically the same. We are running triple first movement solo and triple Refrain. Both of them kind of work the same. It's both Refrain, right? Because this is Refrain and this summons Refrain, and you don't need the normal summon for the combo I'm showing you right now. But for now, I just wanted to show you the card. We are starting Refrain here. Just ignore the first movement solo right now. Activating Refrain to add, once again, adding the couplet. This is the best target to add in most cases. Now we are going to play the couplet, and it can be activated to grab once again Melodious Concerto. The thing to note here is that this combo is definitely weaker against hand traps. Obviously, getting an Imperm on this card is pretty problematic, and if your opponent activates a first movement solo and summons a Refrain, then it's one of your best bets to basically Imperm or Effect Veiler this very effectively, because one thing to understand with this deck is that if there is a monster on the field, you can neither use first movement solo, nor can you use Ostinato, the fusion card, which we have used to basically start our plays in the first replay. So once there is a monster on the field, for example a normal summon Refrain, and you have Impermed this, then for the Melodious opponent it's very hard to play from there. So now we can go Melodious Concerto fusion summoning here into our Baka, which is normally always the start you want to do. We can chain block here now, and you should do this Baka 1 and then whatever the other ones 2 and 3, doesn't matter the order of them, but you can chain block this against being Ghost, Ogred and Destroyed. And then we are going to put them in the scales here and basically summon from the deck once again the Chopina, which can add from the graveyard, which is very nice. We can now use the effect of Refrain targeting our Baka to send something to the graveyard. We are sending the Aria, grabbing it back with the not once per turn Chopina, and then going into our Link 2 here. Now we can activate Link 2's effect to discard the recently added Aria, and now also the Baka as well as the Melodious Concerto will trigger. You will want to go chain Link 1 Bloom Harmonist, then you want to go chaining to Baka to resummon the Chopina from the graveyard, and then you want to chain block with Melodious Concerto. If this gets Ash Blossomed, it's okay, but you don't want these effects here to be tangled with in any way, if you can avoid it. So we're going Baka 2 and then Concerto 3 to draw us a random card and put Concerto back onto on the bottom of the deck. Basically, we are drawing a random card here. Baka resummons the Chopina, and then one very important thing here is to, and I have made this mistake, to not put this here or here, because you need to summon the monsters from the Bloom in the zones that these arrows point to, so keep these zones free, right? We are summoning a couplet and a Soprano. Soprano, remember, is the one that can fusion summon. Next thing we are going to do is activate the fusion, the Soprano has a second effect. When this card is special summoned, we can target a Melodious monster in graveyard and add it to the hand. We are adding the Aria here, very nice. and then we can fusion summon using the couplet as well as the other one to make Schuberta. So one of our interruptions is live now. Now we can once again use Chopina to add back to our hand the soprano. Now we are going to pendulum summon, and keep in mind that we need to free zone here in order to pendulum summon this couplet in, because if you want to pendulum summon something from the extra deck, you need to pendulum summon it to zones a link monster points to, whereas something from the hand can be pendulum summoned in any zone, right? So always keep one free. For our couplet here, we are summoning the aria as well as the soprano and then the couplet. Now we can once again fusion summon. We are using these three in order to go into Flowering Étoile. And now we basically have the same import, kind of the same import like before. We have our Link 2, we have our Schuberta, we have our Étoile. And don't underestimate how strong Étoile's effect is, right? Because bouncing, like in this case, 4 cards back to the opponent's hands, this can interrupt a lot of plays. A lot of decks can be interrupted by only this effect. And remember that you will get all these stuff here back. But also keep in mind that if you remove them from the field, your opponent can obviously attack you then, so keep this in mind. We now have the aria online, which says our cards cannot be targeted by card effects or be destroyed by battle, so making them very safe. And then we have the Schuberta interruption as well as the Flowering Étoile interruption. And you have this hand card here for follow-up, and this is the combo that you can achieve with either the Refrain or the first movement solo. Now let's go over into the deck profile and I'll show you a deck list that you can take to the ladder. Alright, and here's a potential decklist that you can grab and take to the ladder. We are playing 2 Soprano, the Melodious Songstress. You've just seen it's nice to special summon her to grab something back, but she's also one of the 3 ways to fusion summon, so it's nice to have her, a very good monster that you can use to start your engine with if you have already bodies on the field to fusion summon with. We have one cannon, which we have not seen in this combo. If you control a Melodious monster, you can special summon this card, which is nice because sometimes you just need to get bodies on the field to fusion summon with, for example, with Soprano, to start your plays via a Baka. And we can only special summon her once per turn. Once per turn, we can target one Melodious monster we control, change that target's battle position. So this is basically only an extender, which is why we only run it once. We have one Chopina, which you have seen. This is a very strong card. You can't normal summon her, but you can special summon her, one to get her into the rotation. So you can grab something from the graveyard multiple times per turn. One of our best starter is the Refrain, or basically the first movement solo, which is normally always a Refrain. So we have 6 Refrain in the deck if you want to look at it like this. We have Couplet, the Melodious Songstress, which also isn't bad because you can just scale her and search for the concerto, and then you can at least use her and one other body on the field in order to go into the Baka and start your plays. So this is why we are running triple Couplet, which she's the worst starter of all the starters we have, but she is still a starter and can make something happen, which is why we are running her 3 times. Let me just put this down here. We have one Elegy. We have just seen this. This is something that protects, basically, that we can summon on the board to protect our end board. We have the Aria, which is another card that is a protection. It's very cool that if you have the Aria in your hand, basically, you can normal summon the Aria. Oh, this is only if it's special summon, okay. But if you can get the Aria on the field early on, then you can basically protect your entire plays from being like impermed or effect veilered, which is very effective. We are playing a first movement solo, which is basically just Refrain. Keep in mind that if you use this, we can only summon Melodious monsters, but it doesn't really matter. We have the Melodious Concerto, which you've just seen, can fusion with the pendulum zone, basically with the pendulum areas, if there is something in there, and can also draw a card if the fusion monster goes to the graveyard. We have Ostinato. Once again, if you control no monsters, the same thing with the first movement solo, which I just talked about in the second replay. So if you can, for example, imperm or effect veiler this normal summon Refrain, then Ostinato as well as first movement solo will be dead, and this might be the end of the turn for your opponent. If you control no fusion summon monsters, we can fusion summon with our deck, basically. So this is really quite nice. One thing to keep in mind, that during the end phase of this turn, destroy the fusion summoned monster, but this never really comes up because you go into a Baka, which you then also use. We have triple Sonata. If you control a Melodious monster, you can special summon this card while this special summon card is on the field. All fairy type monsters gain 500 attack and 500 defense. Is just an extender. You can definitely argue putting maybe 1 or 2 Sonatas out and putting more non-engine in. You will have to test around with this and find the perfect spot for yourself. And now the rest is non-engine, basically, which obviously you can go ahead and change out for whatever you like. I think the amount of non-engine that this deck can play is quite okay. We have 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, minus the pot if you don't want to count that. So 17 non-engine, this is very nice, honestly. A good ratio of non-engine to engine. We have basically 9 very strong one-card starters and then 3 that are not that great. And we also have a pot which normally should get you to one of these 9 starters if you go for 6 cards, which you definitely can with this deck. And yeah, we have the Ash Blossom here, no-brainer. Ash Blossom Maxi is a no-brainer. We don't have to talk about this. Infinite Impermanence is just so good. And I think having a pot here is nice. You can definitely allow yourself to use the pot. It's just more consistency. You can play these talents. You can't, depending on what you want to do. 2 call by and 1 cross out just to make some of your plays safer. I think it's very nice. You can also put a Nibiru in here because some of your lines are very Nibiru, get damaged by Nibiru quite effectively. So you could put a Nibiru in here just to have cross-out target for that. And then I have the Ghost Ogres in here for the Temper matchup. You can, as I already said, just change these out for Effect Vaders, maybe a Nibiru, whatever you want to see, whatever you need in the meta. We are playing triple Barker, you've seen. This is a very strong one, but this is also one that you can at least banish one off with the Pot of Prosperity. We are playing 2 Etoile, our basic boss monster, if you want to call her that. We are playing 2 Schuberta, and then we are playing 1 Bloom Diva, which I think she's an ultra rare. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Also, you take no battle damage from attacks involving this card. If this card battles a special summon monster after damage calculation, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the difference between the original attack of that opponent's monster and this card, and you destroy it. So this is something that you can use in some niche situations to kill your opponent, or maybe put something on the field that your opponent can't easily kill to skip a few turns, which is also why the Tapir is in here. So this one is not that important. I think this is an ultra rare, so you don't need this card, but if you have it, put it in here. We have 1 Baguska, we have 1 Zeus, we have an Underworld Goddess, we have Gravity Controller, 2 Bloom Harmonist, very important one, and then we have Protector of the Agent's Moon. And this is the deck is that you can go put to the ladder. Play the Melodious deck. If you have any further questions, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching the video. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell. And obviously we will see each other tomorrow in the next videos concerning the new pack release.